Cool. Good morning, everybody. This is Evan Welchel. I am the VP of Revenue Marketing here at GitLab. And today we are featuring the marketing operations group that is part of the overall team. We do a typical rotation. Today, the focus is the ops team. I'm going to turn it over to Claudia as she runs that team, but I wanted to just highlight over the last, several quarters, we've made a lot of progress in both growing the team and shifting our mission. The slides are geared towards showing all of the things that we've achieved and then what we're going to be doing in the near future. Shout out to Dara, who's on here. Marketing Ops used to be her. She got us on this path and Claudia is continuing it. So I will turn it over to Claudia. I think we'll start with just a little bit of a narrative and then get into some questions.
Thanks so much, Evan. Yes, I'm just going to add on to what you said. Marketing Ops had an extremely busy year for fiscal year 21. We were a very reactive team. We had a lot of refreshes, fixes, but we were ready to complete that in fiscal year 21 so we can kick off strong in 22. We really want to partner with everybody across the organization, really be an extended team member. We bring a lot of knowledge and can discuss the wants and needs and transfer that into a tool that would be beneficial, not just for one team, but across the organization. So we are more agile now. We're ready. We have done a lot of work and we're still short. We're still hiring. The setup that we have currently is that we have basically 4 focus areas. One is the SDR. And one is the campaigns, and then there's content, and then a new category is data quality. And we have 1 open headcount, 1 is starting on Monday. So we are getting better and better, and just want to point that out on the inside slide, on slide 9. We can see at the beginning of the year, we had more issues coming in that we were able to close. Luckily, the second half of the year, as we got more agile, more organized, more able to close issues and also refresh systems so we have less bugs. And I will check the questions. Dara, not on the call, just an observation that this team continues to be uber productive. Way to go. That is awfully kind. Thanks so much, Dara. Hannah, do you want to verbalize your questions?
I would, and it does embarrass Beth that we call her Queen Bee, but I'm not going to stop. This is just a PSA so everyone can hear it, just how much Beth contributes to the SDR org. She is more than just sales operations to us. She is our queen. She is our business partner, and we really couldn't do all the things we do without her and her never-ending patience with us. So thank you, Beth.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I appreciate you verbalizing that. John, you're next.
I got the next question. Just curious, what are the marketing ops team's KPIs?
We target our KPIs within the marketing organization, but for our team itself, we really want to be an extension of each team member. Right now, like I said, in 2001, we were very reactive. We want to turn that around and be proactive, because the sooner that we get in within the different marketing teams, the better we can support the team. Hayley, I think you are next.
Yeah, so I was just curious. I mean, I know a lot of what marketing ops does is impacted by what sales ops does and vice versa. So I'm curious about how the 2 groups work together, and kind of especially with the changes that we've done, at least in the SDR org, we've sort of run across a whole myriad of things. So I'm curious how you're iterating on that and the plans are for the collaboration this fiscal year.
So this is not just going to be for this fiscal year. We have a close collaboration with SOPs. We meet regularly, and we also have a Slack channel. We do keep each other informed with changes because we do realize it could have an effect on the other team members. So we have worked very closely already the past year. That's what we will continue to do. Question number 5. Does somebody want to verbalize it?
That's mine. Sorry for not putting my name on. I saw we're syncing Salesforce and Outreach. What is the technology we use? It seems like syncing technology is like the successor of ELT. Like people first were extracting data, and now it's more about keeping systems in sync. And I wonder what we're using for that.
I am not sure everything that is behind it. Please jump in, Beth and Jameson, but I can tell you what was happening previously. I do believe, if I recall correctly, we had 4,000 errors daily, which was causing a major problem to the SDR organization. What we did, we actually took that tool apart and put it back together. So now the tool is up and running, is able to sync the information that's there. Beth, Jameson, you guys on the call, anything to add?
Yeah, I can jump in there a little. So Outreach, just to kind of level set for the group, Outreach is a sales engagement platform, which means it's the place that our SDRs are working every day to send emails, make phone calls, and do other sort of lead related tasks. So anything from engaging with people via LinkedIn Sales Navigator to other tasks that they may want to keep up with. So Outreach and Salesforce do have a bilateral connection where they're able to, Outreach can pass data from its system to Salesforce, and then in that same way, Salesforce can pass information back to Outreach so that everything's kind of in sync for the SDRs to be able to look at updated lead and contact information in Outreach and in Salesforce and see the same data. So ultimately, we've, as Claudia mentioned, gone through a lot in the last 3 months to try to improve the ability for those systems to connect with one another and kind of have a more harmonious relationship, because we had some struggles and some errors that were leading to confusion on both sides. Does that answer your question, Sid?
So the question is, Outreach has a built-in syncing capability that we're leveraging?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, Outreach has a native connection with Salesforce. So we use their kind of the managed package there.
Cool.
Sid, do you have the next question?
Yeah. Slide 15 has kind of an image of the tech stack, but then when I go to the tech stack page, I find something else. What is do we have a single source of truth for the tech stack at GitLab?
So I can tell you where I quickly pulled that. This was from Allocadia, our budget. It's really to show the budget that we control also for the tool stack. But tying it back to Hayley, if we work with subs, of course, we are also part of working with Salesforce, but it doesn't come off our budget. What I wanted to showcase with that slide, since each business partner works very closely with most likely one section of the organization, so the SDRs are very focused within Outreach, I wanted to showcase that we actually, I do believe there are 40 plus tools that a team of only 4, now 5 people is integrating, responsible, troubleshooting, and I do believe hats off to the entire team. That's a large tool stack.
Yeah, it is a large set, and I think at GitLab in total, we use probably over 100 external tools. And I think it's so important to get to a single source of truth of like what external tools we use, because it's security, finance, many different disciplines at GitLab need access to that set of tools. But at a certain point, when I looked into it, we had, I think, over 8 different ways of like, a different list of what tools we use. So finance made their list for the budget, and security made the list for the security requirements, and sales made the list for sales ops, and marketing made their list for marketing ops. And of course, there were tools missing or from each list. So I'd really love to see the whole company get into one YAML file. And if you need to add columns there, that's great. If you need to like add tags and then only show stuff with a certain marketing tag on your page, that's fine too. But I think we should focus on using that YAML file as a single source of truth, and then having different views on it that appeal to the different constituents and functions that use it.
That's a very good point, Sid. Thank you.
Hey, Sid, I just want to follow up on that. On the tech stack that's linked there, we have some of our tools have subpages that have, instructions for using the tool, best practices, how to get help for that particular tool. So if you were to click the drop downs, you'd be able to see those subpages as well. that's one of the reasons why we link to, or we have that sort of set up on our page in that way.
Yeah, if I could give a suggestion, in the YAML file, we have the tool. What I don't see in here, but maybe I'm looking at this just now. Why isn't there like, this is the handbook page for a tool. I think every tool should have a handbook page, or 0 to 1 handbook pages. And yes, you should be able to easily find the handbook page from the list of tools. So my suggestion would be add a handbook page attribute here, have a URL, and that way you can say, hey, on this marketing page, we're going to show all the tools that are owned by marketing, plus a link to the relevant handbook page.
That's a great idea, Sid. I will take that back and work with BizOps on that. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And just to add a little bit, we just actually updated our handbook page, trying to make it as easy as possible to find all the information. So please do take a look if there are suggestions how we can improve, and everybody has accessibility, transparency to the information. Please do let us know. Are there any other questions that we can help you with, everybody that is on the call? We still have some time left.
Hey,
Small
sorry.
little- Oh, sorry.
No, you go, Mona. I'll write mine down while you're doing that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'll write mine down too, Hayley. I'm just kidding. I'll go back and write it in. My thing is actually super small. I think, when you were talking about the decrease in issues, which I think is awesome. And I just want to say, I was here when I started. I felt like when I created issues that were marketing ops related, a lot of times it was just, I got lost in the explanation of why something wasn't working the way it was. And then it's just like, okay, it doesn't look like this is going to change. And so you kind of got into this habit of not creating issues. And then I feel like with this team that has been built over these last couple of years, now I just feel like y'all welcome any issue and you make a path for it. And so just thank you for helping us to know that problems can be solved. And if something's bothering us or making us inefficient, that you're willing to take those on. So anyway, that's, to me, I feel like that's the vibe that I get from this team all the time now. And so just a huge shout out for y'all. I will say that there are times now when I want to create an issue or I think about something that could be done. And my thought process is, wow, they're already doing so much. Like they're taking on some of these big rocks that we really need moved. But these might be minor irritations that I have. And I don't want them to get like, it's almost like I don't want them to take away from some of the big rocks that y'all are moving. And so sometimes I can just like, I'll just deal with that. I'll just continue doing my work around. Is there any way when we're creating the issue to kind of flag how we see it as far as level of frustration or where we would kind of want it ranked? Because that is something that kind of sometimes can keep me from putting more on y'all's plate, because I'm like, there's just already so much that y'all are tackling, and I don't want this to become noise. It's not the most important thing to me.
Absolutely. So we have different labels and we have some priority labels that would help. But we also say if there's an urgent issue, please do ping us. Mm-hmm. We actually have a great process in place. Every Monday, I go in and check what new issues have been created and assign accordingly. And we run in 2-week sprint. Now we also have an epic label. So is there an issue that is related to another issues, you would be able to see that by having an epic link. We recently also created a bug label, because that will help us immediately to focus on the bugs. Also because we have a template, but that adds on to be able for us to jump in as fast as possible when needed. But absolutely, please always open an issue. That is the way that we can communicate. That is the way that we can keep track of things and be very transparent throughout the organization. So do not hesitate to open an issue. Please don't.
Okay, and is there any way for us to communicate to y'all how we, like to Elsha's point, I don't want to mess up with y'all's waiting and the system that y'all use to wait issues, but is there, I just feel like there's some sentiment like as far as here's where I want like y'all to think about this as it comes from me. This is this is a nice to have. This isn't a need to have, you know? So anyway, that's just my
Yeah, can I
thought process.
jump in here real quick? Is that
Mhm.
okay? Sorry. So Mona, I think your point is a really good one. And as Sarah mentioned in the comments, we have discussed using weights as a team, but we haven't actually implemented that yet. I think in the interim, what Claudia discussed as far as like creating a label specifically for bugs, we do have a template, but sometimes, you know, an issue's open and it's not clear right away that it is a bug, and we sort of identify that and add the label, or you know, all kinds of reasons that we might not be using that bug template. There may be an interim way that we can potentially create a label specifically for what you're describing, right? Like maybe like a, I don't want to call it like minor fix, but something that we can do to try to flag those. But I think because the idea of using weights, I think, you know, requires a broader conversation, making sure the teams all align. So it might be a longer process, but we could, in an interim way, potentially create a label we could use for that same purpose.
Okay, cool.
And in the meantime, quickly Slack us, Marketing Ops channel.
Love that advertisement, Claudia. My question was actually very similar to Mona's. So I think I took some notes as we were going, but it was the same idea. I think when we submit issues, how can we help help you be more efficient in that? And maybe that's in time looking at, you know, however you decide you want to do it, but having that in the handbook so that we can then use that matrix to say, okay, this should have this label and it should have this weight, because then they're going to decide that, you know, low cost, like it doesn't take a lot of time and it achieves a lot. So let's do that one first, you know, however you decide to do that, then we can, when we submit the issues, how to make everyone more efficient, because, you know, we really depend on you and y'all do a phenomenal job. So I just think how we can do more of that. So it was just, you kind of, Beth and you both gave a good introduction already.
Absolutely. So it's a process we have in place right now, but we continue to discuss how we can optimize it. And as Beth mentioned, we have discussed the weights, but it takes a little bit of a bigger thought process in order to implement that. So the only thing I kindly ask, always ping us in the Marketing Ops channel, because if you ping us directly, it's a little bit harder to be transparent as well as react on it quickly. Right now, hopefully with 2 more team members joining, we will be able to even react quicker on those quick fixes in the Slack channel.
Hey, Claudia, can you, because you just mentioned the 2 team members, I think it's important to note sort of the vision that Dara set forward that you're now carrying the torch on, that we've been working on as far as how the business partners align, because I think it also addresses what we're talking about here, right? The idea of going from being, realistically, we were service desk oriented, answering tickets, to now being proactive and looking at the bigger business problems we're trying to solve while still fielding those service tickets. So I think it's important to highlight that because I think it addresses a lot of this as well.
Absolutely. We want to be agile. So we don't want to have one person be responsible for one tool. So the way that we have it set up right now is for the business partners. SDR, campaigns, content, and now we also have data quality. We have a senior role from that, and that is Beth, Amy, as well as Sarah, and Robert joined on the data quality. Then the idea is to, of course, have a junior level as well underneath. Right now, we have hired somebody that is in the UK, which also helps us to be able to be available 24 hours, basically covering more time zones. And that person is going to be able to help out within 2 team members within the SDR and campaigns. I'm sorry, SDR and content. And the one that is still open is SDR and campaigns. Ideally, as we grow, it would be nice to have 1 senior and 1 junior on each position and see where that takes us. But it's important for us to be that extended team member. So that's why we have divided it up into a business partner model. Anything you want to add there, Alvin?
I think it's great, and thank you. I think that it's helped us continue with the iteration, right? We did a lot of iteration in the past, but it's helping us set a goal for what that iteration is going to get us to from a big picture perspective. And I think that's super helpful and something that we were missing historically. So appreciate it.
We have about 5 minutes left. Any last minute questions?
Claudia, what have you done in the snow this week with your child?
I have been indoors. I don't have my child this week, so I have been indoors, gotten a few extra hours done at work. So that you should be happy about that.
Yeah, always. It's for those who don't know, we're both in the Netherlands, and we had snow like I haven't seen in 6 years. So it's a winter wonderland here. That's wonderful, Claudia.
Exactly. And it's very fun to see how everybody frantically all of a sudden is trying to purchase winter clothes. Of course, we're also in a lockdown, stores are closed. Hayley was one of them, reaching out for help, trying to get warm clothes for her son. Besides fun in the snow, last minute questions? I think I'll turn it to you, Evan. I think
we're good. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks for all your questions and for interacting. And thank you to the ops team. They're awesome. So have a great day.
Thank you, Mark.